It is on Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. God, that's a mouthful. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons, so let's get to it. Pros. This is an MCU movie. Do I even need to explain myself? I will anyway, for the five of you out there who don't know what the MCU is. So the MCU has been around since 2008. Started with Iron Man, then the Avengers, and now we're here. So it's been over 13 years, and this will be the 25th. Let me repeat that. The 25th MCU movie. So they've made 25 movies in a little more than a decade. Like, damn. They're, they're pumping these out so fast. It's crazy. So yeah, they have quite a bit of movies in their catalog, and not just that. Pretty much all these movies, with the exception of one, have been big successes. In fact, the whole franchise is worth, I don't know, tens of billions of dollars. It is the biggest franchise in movie history, bar none. Nothing even comes close at this point. I mean, the amount of billion-dollar movies the MCU has is kind of absurd. I mean, that I can just name a list. I'll just list them right now. There's the Avengers. There's Iron Man 3. There's Age of Ultron. There's Civil War. There's Black Panther. Infinity War. Captain Marvel. Endgame. And Spider-Man Far From Home. That's $9 billion movies. In fact, two of those movies are $2 billion movies. Those movies being Endgame and Infinity War. So yeah, the MCU is an extremely valuable brand. They got that strong brand name recognition. So even with a movie based off a character that no one's ever heard about, as long as they got that brand, as long as they're a part of the brand, a decent amount of people will watch it. That's pretty much guaranteed. So, yeah. Yeah, big pro right there. Obvious pro. It's an MCU movie. Like, duh. So that's pro number one. Pro number two. This movie has no direct competition at all. Not this weekend, not for the rest of the month. In fact, this movie won't have any direct competition until October 8th when it goes up against No Time to Die. But at that point, Shang-Chi will make most of its money. So it wouldn't even matter. So yeah, like I mean, September is pretty weak. I mean, Shang-Chi is the only blockbuster esque film coming out this month. It would have been two if Venom 2 stuck to its September release, but it didn't. So Shang-Chi now has the whole month to itself, which only benefits Shang-Chi. And as for this upcoming, not upcoming, this current weekend, what does it have to worry about? I mean, there's Free Guy, but that's 4 weeks old, so that's essentially old news. And then I seriously doubt Candyman and Shang-Chi share the same audience. I sincerely doubt that. So yeah, this movie has no competition at all for a long while, so that's another easy pro. Uh Another pro is that unlike say Black Widow, which had the whole Disney Plus Premier Access thing where you pay $30 to watch on Disney Plus, that whole thing led to a lawsuit. I don't want to get into it again, but yeah, this movie is just theatrical only. No streaming nonsense. All right. No Disney Plus, no HBO Max, no Paramount Plus, Peacock. None of that. Theatrical only. Which, I mean, some people will be like, "Oh, why? Like aren't you like screwing the movie at this point?" Like look, I get it. Some people would rather watch big movies at home rather than seeing them on the big screen. Like I get it. I've done it myself. All right, I'm guilty of doing it too. But I mean, it's clear that streaming can seriously cut into a movie's box office, especially its legs. We've seen that with the Suicide Squad. We've seen that with Space Jam 2. We've seen it with Black Widow. Black Widow had the worst second weekend drop in MCU history, dropping 68%. And then a lot of that had to do, I believe, with not just the whole Disney Plus thing, but piracy. Yeah. Piracy is a big, big, big issue with all these streaming movies. And Shang-Chi doesn't have to worry about that because it's theatrical only. And as we've seen with a movie like Free Guy, which is also theatrical only, people are willing to pay money to see a movie in theaters as long as it looks good or appealing. So yeah, I believe the theatrical only strategy here was the smart move to make. So yeah, I would consider that a pro. Another pro, it's Labor Day weekend, and actually this is kind of weird. It's a weird pro because Labor Day weekend historically, box office wise, is a pretty dead weekend. Nothing happens. It's usually dominated by older movies trying to make one last bit of money before everything everything takes a turn for the worst when it comes to the fall season, right? But we're kind of in unprecedented territory here because Shang-Chi is like one of the few blockbusters ever to open this weekend. I mean, I know last year there was Tenet, technically, although that whole movie's run was a bit confusing. Yes, I don't want to get into it, but I guess we can count Tenet. But that movie didn't exactly perform well. It didn't, the whole oh, this will save the movie theater industry. That didn't quite pan out for Tenet. I mean, it'll definitely pan out a lot more for Shang-Chi, judging by its early numbers. But yeah, Labor Day weekend. I mean, it's not a like it's a holiday. It doesn't hurt box office. It's not like say 4th of July on a weekend or Halloween on a weekend or Christmas Eve on a weekend. Labor Day can help movies, have better multiples than they would during a normal weekend. So that'll definitely help Shang-Chi avoid some front loading, like significant front loading. So yeah, I would consider that a pro. Holiday weekend will help its legs a little bit, at least for its opening weekend. I don't know about the rest of its run, but its opening weekend won't be affected too much by front loading. So that's another pro. Another pro, I think pro number 5, I lost count. Reviews are very good. It's in the 90s at this point in time. And its audience score is superb. It's like at a 99%. Like, how many times have you seen that? I know, like, never. So it seems word of mouth is very good, and it's only going to help this movie going forward. So, yeah, that's another easy pro. This next part isn't, I wouldn't call it a pro or a con. It's just something to note. The with this movie, it's pretty obvious that Disney, they're trying to position this movie in the same way like they did Black Panther, where they try to appeal to like this one specific audience. They want to appeal to them, be like, hey, please see this movie, and they're hoping that a large portion of that audience goes sees the movie and supports it, right? Black Panther, they did that with, an African American community, and it worked out fantastic. It worked out way better than anybody thought it would. But here's the thing, the whole, oh, let's appeal to this one demographic. It's never guaranteed. It's not a guaranteed success. I mean, look what happened in The Heights. that that was clearly not successful, right? And it had this, and Warner Bros had the same strategy up. Oh yeah, let's appeal to this one demographic, right? And it just didn't work. So Yeah, you never know when it comes to situations like this. It can work out great or it can work out terrible. You never know. So that's why I don't consider it a pro or a con. It's just kind of a wild card, if you will. Okay, now to actual cons. Granted, these are cons I would have had if I made this video a week ago, but I'm just gonna say them anyway. Yeah, I know when it comes to this movie, it's based off a very well, I'm saying relatively lower tier Marvel character, right? Like if you went, I'm losing my train of thought. All right, if you went on the street and you talk to someone and you ask them, "Hey, you know what Shang-Chi is? You know who Shang-Chi is?" They're going to be like, "Who?" At least before, the movie came out and whatnot. They'd be like, "Who?" Because Shang-Chi's not a well-known figure like in the superhero genre. I mean, granted, Iron Man wasn't that well known, and Captain America and Thor, they weren't that well known when their movies first came out. And Guardians of the Galaxy, nobody knew who they were. The same goes for Ant Man and Doctor Strange, right? But this seems a bit more niche than all of them. So I thought that was kind of like a bit of a red flag because there's this. I'm just like, I mean, will people really care about this character? And according to early numbers, it seems they do. But yeah, back then I was like, I don't know. Yeah. So I thought that was a con, being a lower tier character may could hurt it a little bit. Although that's kind of BS because we saw how Guardians of the Galaxy did, how well that turned out. So that's con number one. Con number two is that there's this, a lot of people have been saying there will be a time when people get sick of the MCU when they just say, you know what, nah, I can watch something else. That time will come. When it will come, I can't say, but it will come. And a lot of people thought it would happen here with this movie, and not without reason. I mean, Black Widow, Black Widow, when it came out in July, sure, it had the biggest opening weekend of the pandemic. Sure, it's the biggest movie of the pandemic and the whole year, at least domestically. But for MCU standards, it did terrible. It did. It was one of the worst performers of the whole series, the whole brand. Like that's bad. And so, some people thought, oh, if Black Widow can't do well, then what chance does this movie have, right? And also didn't help that the Suicide Squad, I know that's a DC movie, but it's still a superhero movie. That the Suicide Squad bombed hard last month. So that definitely didn't help matters at all when it comes to you know, basically the whole superhero genre. So yeah, like I would consider that a con is that there could have been potential like serious MCU fatigue that could have happened, but it seems like it's not going to happen, but still it was something I thought about. So yeah, it's con number 2. Con number 3. Wait, I'm trying to think of more. Wait. Hmm. What else could I say? I mean, I pretty much said everything. Well, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I already said Labor Day weekend is a dead weekend. September is kind of a dead month, although, the It movies kind of changed that. But still, it has the reputation of being a dead month, a dump month, a month that everyone tries to avoid, but again, that's changed in recent years, so it's not that much of a con, really. If we were talking like 5, 10 years ago, oh yeah, it would definitely be a con. But now it's not so much. So yeah, consider that. I don't know, not even a con really, but just something to note. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So opening weekend. Okay. We have to note that this movie made 8.8 million in its Thursday previews, which is quite good. I mean, the only movie that's done better in the pandemic has been Black Widow, which had 13 million in previews. And this is well ahead of F9, which did 7.1. So it's in a good spot. But now the question is, where will it stand when it comes to the MCU, right? Because we have to look at all these. We have quite a bit of data here. Where will it lie? I mean, we all know the worst performing MCU movie is The Incredible Hulk, the red-headed stepchild of the MCU, right? Then after that, there's the first Thor, the first Captain America, first Ant-Man, second Ant-Man. Those are like the lower tier Marvel movies when it comes to box office, at least. I think Shang-Chi will likely, be in that range, which wouldn't be terrible per se. And I know for like the past 2 weeks, I've seen, or at least seen the thumbnails of plenty of videos where they were all convinced. They were like, "Oh, this is gonna be the worst opening of MCU. This is gonna be a bomb. This is gonna be a failure." Blah 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 blah. You see them everywhere. It got annoying after a while. I wasn't one of those people. After what happened to the Suicide Squad, I was like, "Oh, this may not turn out too great." But I never said, "Oh, it's gonna fail automatically." Like I wasn't like that. I'm usually not like that unless I know for a, unless the writing is on the wall, like it's really on the wall, like what happened with the theatrical cut of Justice League or Dark Phoenix. I predicted their failures from a mile away. I knew those movies were bad ideas, and they turned out to be bad ideas, and they both did terrible. So, yeah. Yeah, I suspect Shang-Chi will likely, at the rate it's going, it will surpass Ant-Man. It won't be as bad as that. But I think it will probably realistically be in the same level as the first Captain America and the first Thor, so like in the mid 60s. The highest I'm willing to go is 65 million for the 3 day, and because it's a holiday, I have to add a 4 day to it, and that's might be a little difficult. So I'm gonna say 70 million plus for the 4 day. Okay, here's how I'm gonna do this. All right, 60 to 65 million for the 3 day, and 70 million plus for the 4 day. All right, that's where I'm the most comfortable with. If we were talking a week ago, I would have said been like 50 to 60. Now it's looking like 60 to 70. So yeah, that's where I'm comfortable with, and overall probably reach. Ooh, uh, It could realistically match Black Widow's domestic haul, but I don't. I wouldn't be that. Uh, wouldn't be that optimistic. Or like Ant Man's haul. I think it'll probably reach the first. The Yeah, I think somewhere in the range of Black Widow, Ant Man, Captain America: First Avenger, Thor, and that if it's in that range, then I would consider it a success. And I think it'll likely reach that range. Maybe a little bit below it, but it won't be the worst performing MCU movie. It won't be another Incredible Hulk. All right, that much is guaranteed. Now overseas, who knows? The overseas box office is just in such a constant state of flux. It's impossible to predict that anymore. So, yeah, I'm not even going to try to predict that. But yeah, that's Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings, and that's it for the weekend. It was the only movie that came out, which makes sense. I mean, what movie would try to go up, head to head with a Marvel movie? It wouldn't be a very smart move. So yeah. Next weekend we have three movies to talk about. We got *Malignant*, which is part of the HBO Max experiment, so we get to talk about that again. There's Queen Pens, which looks bad, and then there's Show Me the Father, a movie I didn't even know existed until today. So yeah, next week should be interesting. And then the week after that, four movies, and then one final movie for September, and then that'll be it for the whole month. So yeah, after Shang-Chi, things just go downhill real quick when it comes to the excitement. We won't get anything really exciting until Many Saints of New York and No Time to Die and Venom 2 and all that. That's when things gonna get interesting again. But yeah, this is gonna be the last interesting movie we talk about for a long time. So yeah, anywho, yeah, that's it. That is all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got a playlist on the homepage with all previous prediction videos I made this year, from Black Widow to F9 to Quiet Place 2, The Godzilla vs. Kong, The Jungle Cruise, The Free Guy, all the big movies, the mid-sized movies, the small movies, cover them all. If you want to watch any of those videos, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over the all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I just did an episode very recently where I talked about Top Gun Maverick and Jackass Forever being yeeted out of the 2021 schedule, and not to mention, Mission Impossible 7 getting pushed back even more. So that's a big old yikes. But if you want to watch that or any of the other canceled videos I made, I now have 76 episodes. So if you want to look through all of them, that way you're up to date on all these movies and you want to know what's happening to them, you can go right ahead. I think with Shang-Chi, I don't think I covered it that much. I only covered like a few times overall. The last time I covered it, it didn't even have anything to do with its date. It was just Disney being like, "Hey, this is gonna be theatrical only for like 45 days and whatnot." But yeah, if you want to watch any of those videos, you can go right ahead. There is also the box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. August recap will come out right after Labor Day, I guarantee it. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've made, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.